broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Ooh, that was nice and loud. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV's Once Upon a Time After Show. I am Tiona Hobson, and tonight we are talking about Season 5, Episode 6, The Bear and the Bow. And joining me tonight, I have two beautiful ladies to my left. The first one is Roxy Striar, a.k.a. Belle, is in the house.
If you guys are on iTunes, switch over to YouTube to see the cool Belle costume I got going on.
And she's rocking it.
I got it just for you guys. How do you feel about that?
It's amazing.
Yes, and her eyeshadow is yellow and glittery, and it just fits so perfectly.
You might say glitter on fleek.
Glitter on fleek.
Some might say that.
Some might. Others won't. And then next to her is our little Miss Red Riding Hood, Marisa Serafini.
Hello, everybody. I like this cape. It's nice and warm.
I'm glad you should
looks
put the hood
so-
up. You'll be
Like, I
authentic.
should. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Hold up. But it's going to mess up my hair.
I know, and that's a little too
And then your
perfect to
hair
mess
won't
up.
be on fleek. And
That's okay. There we
It's
go.
okay.
We're having
you put your
issues.
sleeve up.
We
It's
got
okay.
this. We got this. There we go.
Yeah, so a little Halloween spirit. And then I have my t-shirt. I'm going to stand up so everyone can see. Boom.
Yeah.
It's Snow White and the Evil Queen. So there you go. That's us dressing up.
We're dressed up. We're ready. We're loving
ready.
it.
The Bear and the Bow. Let's get into tonight's episode.
Bear and the Bow actually was the original title of Brave.
Oh.
Yeah.
cool.
So I like how Disney worked that back into it.
I love Professor Serafini moments.
There you
I
go.
know. Keep them coming, Marissa. So we're going to go back to 6 weeks ago when everyone was back in...
I love how it's still 6 weeks. We've had
6 weeks.
We've had how many episodes now? It's
six.
still 6 weeks.
We've had 6 weeks
I
worth
keep
of
thinking
shows.
the
Time
that.
would catch up with itself.
Yeah, but
Nope.
there's so many different storylines from 6 weeks ago. I
Goodness.
feel like we aren't going. We're going to be 6 weeks for the next few months. Like, oh, it's always going to be 6 weeks.
It's always going to be 6 weeks ago. This is the longest week of their lives, guys, basically.
There's a lot to
Seriously.
learn. We
Yeah.
missed everything. Everybody blacked out. So
We missed everything, and they
Or being
missed
knocked
everything.
out.
Yeah,
We had a lot of that going
Yeah,
on.
so I mean, before we get into the gist of it, like, we see Merlin kind of walking through the castle like a badass, just, knocking guards out and turning on lights, and, they're storming to go free Lancelot.
Mm-hmm.
While they're there, they see that Merida is also there, and they free her as well. One thing that was said during this was that, what's his name? Merlin couldn't get the magic off of the bars, and he said, "This is a kind of magic I've never seen before." And Merlin's been around for a long, long time, so for him to... That just begs the question of what is Arthur into that he found something that even Merlin has never seen before.
Dark magic. It seems like Merlin's, for the most part, it's good. So maybe he knows good in magic, but he knows of dark magic, but most of his powers are good. So maybe it's Arthur's dark magic, or another dark one helped Arthur back in Camelot use all this
That's
dark
where
magic.
That's what
I
I
was
was thinking too. Yeah, because it doesn't just seem like dark magic. I feel like Merlin, who has been around the block, probably would know, at least be able to put his finger on what it is. This seemed darker than dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what is darker than dark? The dark one. So,
True.
yeah, I think.
It could even be darker than that because Merlin has dealt with dark ones before if he's been around that long. And
Right.
we saw it last
I'm glad
week.
he got through that dark magic really fast, though. And whoop,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Thanks to Belle being there and having the spell just handy to...
It was really interesting to watch Belle be utilized in this episode the way that she was, because I don't feel like we get to see Belle being the most helpful person of all time. And tonight when Merida says to her something like, "You're good with the magic," she's like, "I'm glad you took notice. Like, nobody ever
Even she had to
freaking...
say it.
Nobody notices me." Which I kind of felt like I forget that she is useful.
I forgot she was in Camelot with them 6 weeks ago. because we haven't seen her really utilized. We see her pop up every now and then in a scene or two here and there, but she hasn't been utilized to her full capabilities while they're there, so kind of makes sense that...
I liked how they gave her a storyline back in Camelot now, and then how it was still relevant and parallels with the story going on in Storybrooke.
Yeah.
Right.
And let's talk about that story that's happening 6 weeks ago. So Merida, first of all, as everyone's walking through the woods, is able to delay Belle, knock her out, get her on a boat, and run away with her. And no one has noticed, I'm questioning.
It was so weird. I feel like the timing on tonight's episode, it was very slow. Like, they would deliver these lines and then wait a few seconds and then attack. It was, Merida's like, what's that over there? Belle's like, what? And Merida's like, I just said that so that I could get the others far enough away. And Belle's like, far enough away for what? If somebody says to me, so the others can get far enough away, I'm running. I'm hitting them. Like, Belle's like, whatever could you mean? Pause, whack. Like, it just was so much time. I'm like, Belle, come on, bro.
She's book smart. She's not street smart.
I guess. I felt like that in so many cases tonight. It was just like, there's so much time. How are you guys reacting so slowly?
So slow.
Yeah.
So that we had somewhere to go with the episode.
That's true.
It had to be an hour, so.
That's true.
But Merida knocks her out and kidnaps her for good reasons in her mind. She needs help getting her brother, and since Arthur stole her wisp, she doesn't have that anymore, so she needs Belle because Belle is good with books and spells and all that stuff. So she enlists her help, but I love that Belle even said, why didn't you just ask me? Because you didn't have to actually knock me out, because I feel that if she had gone to Belle and said, hey, I need help getting my brothers back ASAP right now, Belle would have tried to help her in some way without
knocking her out.
Yeah.
I completely agree, but T, we know Belle. We all three, we know Belle. This girl doesn't know Belle. She doesn't know that Belle would help her. So she said, I'm a knock you out now, ask questions later kind of person. I think that she could have gone about it a different way, but for all she knows, Belle could be a jerk. And Belle could have been like, nah, I'm not really in the mood.
Then you knock her out, but you at least give her the opportunity to prove that she's a good person.
I'm a knock you out kind of person. Too.
I know you are.
I just keep thinking the song, you know.
Mama said knock you out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock you out.
Every episode's brought to you by a song.
Merida says knock you out.
Yes. I think, I mean, it was very unfortunate for Belle, but very convenient too. I think it was just for the writers to have Merida have another female partner in all of this. It's someone who might actually understand, who's been through trouble in, you know, the towns, whatever. So I think it's just like it makes this pairing seems like the most fit, because David and Snow White are off doing whatever, you know, and Emma's off, you know, like everyone else already has their story. What can Belle do? Oh, let's pair up with Merida.
I completely agree, and I really enjoyed watching the two of them as a team. I thought it was interesting. I thought that their dynamic worked well. But again, I had another problem.
I was going to say, the accents?
No, the accents, this is another thing. I believe that Merida's accent makes Belle's accent come out even stronger. All of a sudden, Belle, who I felt like was suppressing her accent for a little bit, like, full-fledged accent tonight. But that's okay.
Thank
it's a good
God
accent.
for subtitles.
Yeah.
For some of those.
For characters that we're going to be seeing for multiple episodes, try not to get a character whose accent is so darn thick.
Yeah, but she is good. I am enjoying Merida a lot. But the problem I had moving a little bit forward is with the whole frickin' bear thing, she gives her the water, and I'm thinking, Belle, you're going to die, dude. Like, if something goes wrong here, I get it. You trust this girl who you don't really know, and you saw her hit a couple of targets, but like, she's not the only one going down, and her brothers. You're also gonna die. All of you. You're all gonna die.
I saw a point.
Yes, I thought it was in a really good way. I was like, maybe sometimes the worst thing you can do when you actually face your fears is when you are literally stuck with nothing. It's like you have to face your fears.
I agree that Merida did have to face her fears, but Belle doesn't. Why does Belle care at all about Merida? She doesn't care about this person. Why is she gonna put her life on the line? And also that moment where the two of them discuss, and she's like, "No, by the way, I swapped it out with water." Took Forever. Nobody's shooting at them.
Those guys should have shot her brothers in the time it took for that conversation to happen.
But you gotta admit that was kind of funny.
It was
really
funny, but it took like 30 seconds, and everybody's just like, come on now, like, let's actually start doing this. Are you kidding? You would have been dead on arrival. All of you guys. But no, instead you like bicker it out for a second. Oh, I guess, okay, whatever. Maybe I'll take out this arrow. Ridiculous.
But I mean, I understand what you're saying, and for me, it was that it all ties back in together.
I think
Belle,
Lee Dingwell's hair was ridiculous.
Yes, the Dingwell's son, his hair was on fleek.
Yeah,
tonight.
It
was everything. But, you know, we saw Belle watches Merida shoot the arrows and split them on the bullseye when she's concocting the spell. Mm-hmm. She hears the story about how Merida thinks it's her fault that her father is dead because she shot at the knight who was attacking him and missed, and she never misses, and you have to stay true. And so then to have it come full circle with now, you know, she has to... We had to get that story so that there was the moment for her to prove that she can do it under pressure.
And it's television, and so I will let it go the amount of time that it took, because I did love the storyline, and I love the whole message. If you remember what you're fighting for, you'll never miss your target. Mm-hmm. The whole thing, it was absolutely great, and I loved watching them pair together, but it was so slow at times.
Yeah.
Just gotta say it.
I can understand where you're coming from. I felt like we spent a lot of time with Merida and Belle, but we could have spent a lot more time with Rumpel, you know, who actually had a big key turn for his character, not to jump too far ahead, but like...
He's hiding in a closet.
We had a lot of time that could have been dispersed throughout.
I thought that it was pretty well timed out with the two. Because I think that their story also reflected back on Rumpel's, because here is Belle doing essentially what Emma has put on to Merida to do. Well, because, you know, she's saying, hey, I'm putting you on the spot right now. You don't have any time to think. You have to face your fears and prove that you can save your brothers right now. And then on the other side, you have Emma, who is making Merida go after Belle to force Rumpel into a situation of facing his fear and becoming a savior.
I don't even think it was that. I don't even really think... I mean, yes, Emma set up Merida, but it was more so... Belle put Merida in a position to face her fears, and now Merida's... And in turn, we got Rumpel out of that, and then Merida's the one making... we're having Merlin... Oh my god, all these names. We have... Merida making Rumpel face his fears for Belle. So it all just comes full circle.
Yeah. So
I will let the timing go. You guys are right. It was great. I'm having a really, really hard time with something else too, guys, which is the theory that I put out. The theory that I put out that I think that Emma is still good. It's getting harder and harder to believe that.
No. I have something to say to that when we get there later.
No, I'm just saying.
I will just say that I have something to say about that.
I think later. It might be the same thing you and I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move into present day. Well, because, you know, we all know that Merida saves the day. The clans are like, okay.
That shot with the arrow was pretty awesome.
That shot was the sickest thing ever, and I wish I could do that in real life, but...
And I loved how Merida's twin or triplet brothers are all older. I love how, you know, they took the older adult
and they're all
version of the
her.
story.
Yeah, and I just love also like just the woman in me. I love when you find kick-butt women that just like can go and like she said with her father in the training. That's really cool to see.
And I will also say this part, and this is the girl inside of me, so I apologize ahead of time. The Macintosh who played Macintosh in tonight's episode looks way better than the Macintosh in the movie.
Better.
So much better.
So much better.
Just had to throw that one out there.
So much better. That was a character upgrade.
Yeah, that was a character upgrade in a lot of ways. And being shirtless, I wasn't mad at. But I'm still a hooker for life.
Feel that.
Have to say that. So now we're in present day, and basically Rumpel has escaped, and Emma sends Merida out, and, you know, withholding her heart, it is like, you need to go find Belle and kill her to force Rumpel to be a hero now. So we have this whole thing where Belle's life's in danger and she's being chased, and then Rumpel finds Belle in in the library. Well, Belle finds him in the library, like cowering in the closet. And the first thing I thought of, even wrote in my notes, was, if you're Belle, how do you feel that you went from being in love with the most feared man ever to walk the planet as the Dark One to someone who is the biggest coward in the world? Like, how in her mind is she dealing with this?
I completely agree. I had so many emotions when I was watching this. I felt really bad for Rumple, but I almost felt worse for Belle, between the finding of him and then when she eventually does come and he's sitting there and he's like, I can't protect you. That's the worst feeling in the world, when you feel just so unsafe and like whoever you're with can't protect you and can't help you. I felt so bad.
I think anyone would feel bad, but I think I liked how they showed just how weak and cowardly he was, because this seemed like the lowest of the lows for Rumple, and you can literally only go up from here.
Right.
And I like that they started his character off so low in this episode that in the end he ended on such a high note.
Well, speaking of starting him so low, we have the cup that he shatters.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah, again.
It gets shattered again.
Yeah, I guess it was for good reason, but...
I mean, okay, I get he used the shard of the... But you're in a forest. You can find something else that's easily as sharp to break those ties. You know?
I mean,
I think that
fire would work too, but
I think Emma would have been okay with it. I think Belle would have been okay with it if she knew that was how he's getting out. I think she would have been like, all right, break the cup, dude. It's okay. Yeah.
But also, it's the symbolism of breaking the romance between Belle and Rumple, and makes the audience think, oh, their relationship is truly doomed, because even the symbolism isn't even there. So I like how they showed that.
Boobies in the chat says, when Rumple broke the chip cup, I literally felt like my heart got ripped out of my chest, just like Violet.
Oh, just got real dark.
It's so sad.
It is so sad, but sad. I also took it as a showing of his strength. In order to break that cup, with the meaning behind it and all of that, that took a lot of strength on his part to actually depart with something so near and dear to his heart. So I just want to give him that little tidbit too, because it is a sad situation, but then it can also be painted in a different light of the strength to take something from the person. You
think that was strength? I think that was like ultimate coward weakness. Breaking that cup. Like, I have no other choice.
I looked at it as strength too, because he was doing what he needed to do to survive. How did you see it as weakness?
I think it's just like he was at, again, the lowest of the lows, and he didn't have any hope left, that he ultimately just destroyed the cup. He didn't even believe in that yet.
Yeah. Interesting.
I just think for me it was showing the strength, because if he had given up and was at his lowest, he would have just stayed there and waited for his fate to kind of take him out.
Yeah.
But if he didn't give up, why did he destroy the cup then?
To get out.
But again, I'm saying there are other things in the woods that could have been sharp enough to destroy it.
Well, it might not have been the smartest moment, but I don't think it was the weakest moment.
Yes, well, let's talk about another weak moment of his, because after Belle is the one to knock out Merida for a brief moment so they can escape the shop, he's like, okay, come with me. I know where we can go to be safe. And he gets in the car and starts headed towards the town line. And he's got his anti-transformation powder to protect them from whatever would happen when they cross over the line. And he's ready to run. And at this point, Belle's did she try to jump out of the moving vehicle?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he stopped. Because she was
trying to open the door.
Again, even the point where Rumple wants to cross the town line because he thinks he has no other choice. Yeah. It's like there were all these cowardly acts of his that it was building up to the point where it made the audience think that, okay, he's literally running. He's driving away.
Yeah, I was disgusted with him in this moment. Like, when she gets out and he turns the car back on and we assume he drove out of Storybrooke, I felt so sickened by him. Like, you have not grown. You are a coward. That's supposed to be the love of your life. What are you doing, Rumple? What they did, obviously, they did such an amazing job because I was so affected by it. I wanted to punch him. I really wanted to punch him. I wanted her to punch him.
I did
wake
too.
up.
I wanted that.
Right, but I think we all kind of knew that Rumple was going to come back because they didn't actually physically show the shot of him crossing the line.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but I felt like they showed the car moving forward.
Yeah,
but not actually crossing the line.
But he was like right there at the line.
I know, he was at the sign.
In the least bit, he probably.
But every time we see someone cross the line, we actually physically see them cross the line,
right,
and then something happens to them, like they turn into a tree or they lose their memory. You know, it's just like we didn't actually see Rumple cross the line.
Yeah, and then this is the first time where I guess I forgot that Belle didn't know the real reason why he crippled himself in the Ogre War. So he finally, he's let her think this whole time that he did it for his son, and he actually did it because he was scared. And he tells her that, and she tells him that running away never made anyone a hero.
But he didn't want to be a hero, so that's not really that helpful.
Yeah.
But I also saw this. Maybe I'm just like really trying to be positive for Rumple, but I liked how he actually mentioned this because it showed that he actually was very aware of everything. I mean, granted, the audience knows all the actions behind it, but at least he faced it and he accepted the fact that he was a coward, like an ultimate true coward, and saying, no, I didn't go home to my son. I did it because I was truly a coward. And the fact that like he reiterates that shows that, yes, he is a coward. So again, the only way to go is up.
So what do you think happened between the shot that we left and it looks like he's moving forward and him coming to save Belle? What was that thought process, or what?
In my imagination, he left Storybrooke, got over the line and realized, and probably drove down a good couple minutes and was like, what the heck did I just do? I left the love of my life back there. I have to go back for her. Because I just can't believe that Belle didn't make it that far down the road before Merida came there and turned into a bear. So if he was still sitting there and saw that and didn't immediately pop out, then that's pretty wrong of him. So in my mind, he left Storybrooke and then came back for her.
What do you think happened?
I think he immediately just turned around because Belle was in boots with heels and she could not have gone far. So it was quick for Rumple to get back to her.
Yeah, I felt like he put the car in drive, then put it in park and was like, am I doing this? Mm-hmm. There's no turning back from this point. What's going to happen if I leave? I have nobody. She's the only thing, kind of.
But if he's really as cowardly as they want us to believe and as scared as they want us to believe, then what would have stopped him from, okay, Belle wants to get out here. I'm a coward and scared for my life. I'm going to just keep going and then have the realization after he's crossed the line to come back for her.
Would he have been able to come back?
He had the powder.
He had the powder thing.
Yeah, but the powder was just to make sure that none of the effects. So I felt like the powder made it so it wouldn't lose memory or wouldn't turn into a tree. I don't know if the powder made it so that he could re-enter. Because if the powder made it so that they could re-enter, I feel like Belle would have been a little more willing to kind of just go for a couple minutes.
Don't they usually have to have a magical item or magical totem physically with them so they could cross the line? I mean, if you think back to the Queens of Darkness, they had to use the scroll, which was magical. They used that, had that in their hand, they physically crossed the line. I think it's just any magical property with you will allow you to entrance back and over the line.
Yeah.
So if he did cross the line, he used that to come back.
The most important point here is that he came back.
Yeah.
And just in the nick of time, he comes back and he kind of has, I mean, not to sound corny, but he's accepted his fate and he's on the ground and the bear's on top of him and he's like, do your worst. And he sees that powder sitting there and last ditch effort tosses that in the bear's mouth and it transforms Merida back into a person.
This was a really weird moment for me because so what if Merida kills you as the bear? How is that being courageous? Because you're willing to die? If Merida kills you, she's also probably going to kill Belle. So,
and she's probably still going to stay as a bear.
For him, it's the fact that he fought and he came back and he
didn't fight. He came back and he was like, do your worst. And then picked up the bag and threw it.
Okay,
I agree.
So
I felt like Rumple didn't really fight. It was just all out of convenience.
Yeah.
But the fact that he did actually try to stand up and face his fear, I will give him that.
I think it's the act of bravery that comes with it. Standing up in front of his fears and conquering. And then the acceptance of okay, I can't defeat a bear because I have no weapon with me right now and I have one good leg. But I am here and I'm sacrificing myself so that Belle doesn't get
that
harmed.
wasn't the rule.
Well, the rule also didn't say that if Rumple is dead, you have to still kill Belle.
But it's a bear. It's not like
It's still Merida.
I didn't feel like it really was.
I mean,
Like when Belle's screaming, Merida, don't do this, and Merida kind of growls back like,
Well, I think it was just Merida taking complete form of the bear, because that is the curse of Mordieu.
right.
Mordieu.
I don't know.
But you know, yeah. I think it was just more the fact that in the end, fortunately, Rumple did face his fear to fight for the woman he loves, which that was the whole reason why Merida was behind all of this.
Ryan Whittleson says being brave doesn't mean fighting. So I think that it doesn't necessarily mean that. I definitely think what he did was brave. But I don't think that brave and heroic are the exact same thing. And I think that it was brave, but I don't know if it was heroic. It was definitely a step up, and I'm really glad that Rumple did this. And what he did, he actually outsmarted people, and he saved everybody. So you have to give him credit for that.
yeah, and I don't think that being a deemed hero necessarily, I don't think you're a hero before you're a hero. That doesn't make sense, but in my head it does, because Emma was the savior, but she had not done anything to earn that title, but she was still the savior. I mean, she eventually did do something to earn the title, but even before that, she was deemed a hero. And I think because he is pure of heart and he's now brave, he has the components that make a hero. So it's now what he does with it. So he already has the label, and now he just has to go do something with
Really
it.
good point.
Yeah.
Similar to Savior. Speaking of being similar to Savior.
Yeah. So Rumple does go back, and he strikes a deal with our dear Dark One, Emma, because he's like, look, I'll pull out Excalibur, but you have to give Merida her heart back.
Oh, okay, sorry. Christina Barker in the chat says, brave is facing your fear. Heroic is actually saving someone. Interesting. Okay, I like that. Sorry.
So he makes a deal to get Merida's heart back, and Merida also wants to know where her brothers are. She tags that in there at the last minute. Emma gives her back her heart, and this is, Roxy, what I wanted to say about Emma, and possibly still good in there, because she gives back Merida's heart and was like, I was done with this anyway. And when she first took Merida's heart, she said she didn't want to hurt her or kill her. She just needed to use her. And then when she was done using her, she had plans to give it back. And in that moment, it was just in my head, okay, she was going to live up to her end of the bargain, and she really didn't have any other use and was going to give Merida her heart back and let her go. But I don't know if that's...
I want to believe that Emma isn't completely the Dark One right now. And so far, she's affected people's lives negatively, but she hasn't really done anything that you can't come back from. So you're right, T. That is a moment where she gave back the heart. All is well, kind of. It's going to depend on what we do with Excalibur moving forward.
Yes.
And I think, returning the heart, that was, in a way, that was good. But also there was a line where she was having the conversation with Zelena. Not to bring her up, but we have to. Zelena said the line, some things can't be forgiven. And Emma disagreed with that. She's like, are you sure about that? Which shows there is still humanity left within Emma. She has the hope that things can be forgiven. So whatever wrongdoings have been turned onto Emma, the reason why she's Dark One, in the end, good chances she's going to forgive whatever and whoever made her actually accept her to be the Dark One.
How can people get really upset with Emma right now? She's the Dark One. Like, same thing with Rumple. When Rumple was the Dark One and people then forgave him when he comes back to being Rumple, Emma isn't herself. She has this whole thing over her.
Well, did they? Because at the beginning of the episode, there's the whole debate about when Regina's like, I have the Crimson Crown and we can make the spell so we can communicate with Merlin, but we need someone who was chosen by Merlin. And Belle's like, what about Rumple?
Right, not everybody.
And Hook straight up says, he's had more chances than anyone. His fate is, like, something along the lines of his fate is his own. we don't need to worry about him right now. We need to get to Emma. And everyone agreed that Emma was the priority because she hadn't done as bad things as he had yet.
Not even close.
Nope.
Doesn't hold a candle to it.
She's only been bad for 6 weeks, and Rumple has centuries on her.
We don't even know how long she's been bad for. We don't know. I mean,
6 weeks.
no, when we
maybe
go back
4.
6 weeks, yeah, maybe 4.
Maybe 4.
Maybe the full darkness took
But everything
place
is
in
still
4.
6 weeks.
Even though she's tearing her son's girlfriend's heart out, I don't know how necessarily bad. I mean, that's bad, but
That's bad, but Henry forgave her.
well, not really.
I like the fact that Henry still has hope that Emma's good. Like,
Yeah.
that wasn't his actual mother. That was something else that, was inside Emma that caused her to do that. So I like how he still has faith in Emma.
Tracy in the chat says Rumple chose to be dark, though. That's true. Rumple kept choosing it, and Emma didn't really. I mean, you always have a choice of some sort, but
I think
again-
she's still in her phase of choosing the darkness because, in the 6 weeks ago flashback, she's still in the presence of, okay, I'm still half here, half not. And it seems that 6 weeks later, she has embraced the darkness. But I know there is the debate we keep having that, is there still lightness in her? Maybe she's not full dark, but everyone has that chance to choose, and it appears that Emma did choose darkness.
Right, and even last episode, Merlin says, are you ready to let your heart free? Free of what? And the audience never got that answer. So obviously Emma held on to something. So it was her choosing to hold on and give into the darkness and embrace it.
embrace the darkness.
So in a way, she chose darkness.
That's true.
That is true. But, I mean, and then you have Arthur over here who is continuously lying to everyone and making me angry.
I'm so glad that they finally figured it out in present day story. Took them long enough.
They are slowly piecing together everything. They don't have their memories.
It's
So
just
they just found out that
frustrating.
they did find Arthur when they were there. And that's because Emma let it slip last week. Or did she let it slip? Or did she want them to know?
Right.
And then this week you have them trying to communicate with him. And they go get Arthur. And Arthur seems like, you guys have done so much for us. This is the least we can do. But you know what? Whenever we talked before, he only came to me when I was by myself. So maybe you guys should give me some alone time.
No. Fools.
No!
Fools.
Arthur is wicked smart.
Fools.
Check the frickin' fire, dude.
Fools.
Yeah.
Check the fire.
And then he burns the magical
Crimson Crown.
crimson crown
Which
in the
finally
bottom. But he
we
didn't even
got.
make sure that it caught fire and actually burned. He just kind of did it, stood in there for a couple seconds, and then walked back out and was like, sorry guys, something didn't work. And the whole time, I don't know if anyone else was looking at Regina's face in like the background, but I was, and Homegirl was thinking, I know I did that spell right.
Yeah.
He's not saying my spell did not work right
Yeah.
now. I know he's not saying my spell did not work right now. That was just the face she was giving me, and it was everything.
Yeah, it was. And because she's
You're
very
right.
confident.
Everything.
Yeah, what you just did was everything.
That was amazing.
Great interpretation.
Thank you.
Oh, Tiana.
Thank you. I'll be
I
here
almost
every
want to make you
Sunday.
do it again, but I guess I'll just go watch the video.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
Yes,
where were we?
Regina's way too smart.
Yeah, she's way too
She's way
smart
for
to.
that. We didn't get enough of her tonight. Just saying.
No, it was like you didn't get to. It was all Belle and
we didn't
Merida.
get Robin either.
Nope, we
What the
didn't see
hell?
him at all.
Valentin in the chat says they need to kill Arthur. I hope it's his heart that gets crushed.
That's what I said last week.
That's
Well, you and
What we
Valentin have
hope.
something in common then.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah. Arthur needs to go. All right.
so they have to find a new person to get in contact with Arthur, and someone else that Arthur has chosen is the author. Try saying author and Arthur together. That's very hard.
Arthur.
But I'm not supposed to say Arthur. I'm supposed to say Merlin chose him.
Right.
Yeah, Merlin chose the author, and that is Henry now. So Henry comes in and does his thing. And we see the voicemail, as Regina called it, from Merlin.
I love
Merlin
this.
voicemail.
Okay. As we know, the producers are very, very big fans of Star Wars, and all I got was, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
I know. I know.
And the whole idea is like, we need to find Nimue.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we need to find Ben Kenobi.
Yeah. And speaking of being fans, I love when they do their callbacks to Lost, and we saw the Apollo chocolate bar in tonight's episode, which is the chocolate that was on Lost. So I love when we do that little crossover. It's just nice. But yeah, it just shows they know their stuff. And I felt the same way thing about the Star Wars thing. Like, he comes on, he's like, oh, no, this message is going, and everyone's like, no, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, something happened to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pass the mic over to Professor Serafini because you're going to explain to us the Nimue.
Nimue, okay. Nimue is another name for a lady in the lake because during the Arthurian legends, there are several lady in the lakes. And one of them was Nimue. And Nimue was actually, and Nimue and Merlin were actually in love at a young age. But Nimue is the one who actually was the cause of Merlin's downfall. Like, she took Merlin down. So she's not good. She's not good.
But we haven't met Nimue yet, or at least not to the best of our knowledge, unless somebody goes by a second name.
Well, there's thoughts that in last week's episode when we saw Merlin go after the Dark One, but then stop, that could be someone who he was in love with before, and that could possibly have been her.
Right.
And that's why he couldn't kill her, and that's when he got turned into the tree. So there is that thought going around right now.
I love the theories.
Yeah, the theory of that one.
Well, how is Nimue going to help us?
Yeah, well, because according to Marisa, she's not good. Merlin says that only one person, if you're getting this message, there's only one person who can help you now, and that is Nimue.
And also, just the Lady in the Lake character in and of itself is known to protect the Excalibur sword. So, now that, not to jump ahead, but now that Emma finally has the sword, my only theory is that they'll bring Lady in the Lake just to take the sword away and hide it away from everybody.
Interesting.
I wonder what that would do then for Emma being controlled by the dagger, because if the dagger is now Excalibur and then no one has it, how are they ever going to save her if they don't have the sword too?
Merlin.
Merlin, we don't even know if he's alive or dead now, too.
I don't even know if I trust him.
He could be stuck in another tree.
He could be.
But if you trust him, why not?
But we know Merlin has the we know Merlin has the power to take the darkness out of Emma. Emma was the one who was holding on to something, and she's the reason why she's still the Dark One. Yeah. But we also know Rumple also has the ability to take Emma down. Do we believe this?
Well, I loved his parting words to her when they were down there, and he threw the sword at her and was like, look, you might have what you want, but what you created was a hero. So beware of that. Basically, I'm coming for you. I'm going to go hook up with all the other heroes out here. And yes, none of them have been able to stop you, but none of them were me. And none of them also have been the Dark One before and have a very insider's reading on what's going on in Emma's mind right now.
Rumble's about to be the savior. He's about to come in hot. I can feel it. He's ready to go. That was a transformation of all transformations.
And it makes sense that Rumple actually has this, he knows the mentality of Roxy.
Roxy. Roxy is the Dark One, in case you guys are wondering.
Of Emma.
What do you know?
I keep looking at you, and like Roxy was in my head. Like, he knows the mentality of Emma and like how to harness all the Dark One's magic. So it's actually very fitting that Rumple's the one and be like, I know exactly her plans, her thought process. I know how to take her down.
Yep.
As Luke says in the chat, though, Emma and Rumple weren't the only Dark Ones, so...
Yeah, that is very true. And we don't know how many more before Rumple there actually were.
Right.
We know that there was Zoso, but we don't know how many more before that there were as well. One other thing I wanted to talk about briefly, just kind of with the whole back in the 6 weeks ago, Merlin and Emma at Granny's. Because Merlin kind of gave her a little foreshadow here again, where she finally realizes, oh yeah, you were the usher at the movie theater.
Part of the reason I don't know if I trust him.
Well, this answered a big question for me because I wrote on a comment before in the YouTube comments about how did Merlin get to Emma, like if he was trapped in the tree, and how old does this make him, and all this stuff. And he simply says, yes, I was still in the tree. It doesn't matter how I got my message to you. So was he like taking over people's bodies?
He also says that the tree makes people age very slowly. and keeps their skin
But if he
well.
was-
I think that's the actual writers of the show being like, we don't have time to explain that.
We don't
Just
have an
accept
excuse for
it.
that one, so we're
Yeah,
gonna.
just accepted the fact that Emma now knows Marlene.
It's no joke one of my favorite tricks that TV shows can use, because if they don't have time for it, then at least they acknowledge that they know our questions, and then we move on. Sometimes when
just
people,
like Lancelot, how did you come back?
Yeah.
We don't have time for that.
exactly, like you were dead. How are you here? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
All right, like at least you let me know.
We'll get to that in 8 episodes.
Because if they don't at least address it, you think that they don't know that you have that question. But they are smart
Yeah.
enough to know, so they just kind of throw it in and they're like, well, maybe we'll deal with it in the future.
Yes.
Great.
Well, the one thing he does leave Emma with at this meeting is, I warned you before, and Excalibur will go back into a stone. You will then try to take it. Leave it alone, because the fate of your loved ones depends on it. And then we see her take it out, and it's kind of like, I mean, come on, Dark One, you remember that conversation you had, because you're the only one who remembers what happened 6 weeks ago, but you're still going after this. Mm-hmm. So it makes me a little scary. And then, I mean, Marissa already brought her up, but we're going to talk about Zelena, and just kind of, do we see Zelena and Emma working together in the future?
I guess. Funniest moment of the episode, though, was what to expect when expecting. Zelena, how'd you get that in your cell, girl?
And craving onion rings.
rings.
Yeah. I think that if Emma legitimately works with Zelena, we know that Emma has gone bad. Because that is the lowest of lows.
Yeah, who is the
Yeah.
worst person she could pair up with?
Right.
I mean, the scariest part is just Emma offers her the deal of protection against Regina and anyone else that is a threat to Zelena, and then also tells Zelena, you might not want this deal now, but you'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that a lot of times the Dark Ones, when they say you're going to come back for my deal, 9 times out of 10 they do. So
Yeah. 10 times out of
just
10.
10 times out of 10. So it's just a scary thing to remember.
Oh my God. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see it happen, but then the fan inside of me would be like, ooh, Wicked Witch and Dark Swan together
No.
wrecking havoc. Like, that would be kind of awesome to see.
No,
Wicked
it
Swan.
would not.
Wicked Swan, yes.
I know.
Wicked Swan would be wicked awesome, right?
I'm done.
Yeah.
Not to take away from Captain Swan, because I know that...
Yeah. Oh. Captain
No.
Swan.
Or no, not
No.
Captain Swan, the other one. Sorry.
Who are
Swan
you?
Fire. No. Gosh, there's so
Which
many.
shipper?
Regina and Emma.
Swan Queen.
Swan Queen. Yeah, I was gonna
Boom.
get there eventually.
We didn't have enough Regina tonight. She had like 3 lines and that was it.
But she served some serious face, and that's all you really. If Blake was here, serving face is all that you really need. Okay, so I think, Marissa, do you have some news that you wanted to share?
A little bit.
A little bit of news and
little
gossip
bit.
over here.
TV news.
As we know, Adam and Eddie have released, this might be a slight spoiler for all you who don't follow ones, but they released the title of an episode called The Departed Souls, which in ties can lead everyone to Underworld. And then I've been predicting since March of 2015 that we need to go to Underworld. We need to get Hades and Meg. And Once has put out a casting notice for DG, which is Distinguished Gentleman. I'm sorry,
I need
I'm
one of
reading
those
this
too
thing.
in my life, so I'm casting that as well.
Yeah,
Now casting.
now casting a distinguished gentleman, and then also they put out a plucky 18-year-old female adventurer with a sly sense of humor and a tough, no nonsense spirit. Which
Sounds like
in
Meg.
turn sounds like Meg.
Sounds a lot like Meg.
So I don't know if I'm just very intuitive, or they're going to Underworld. They're going to Hades.
I think what happened is they watched the after show. They heard you say it, and then they included it.
Yep. So thank you, Marissa,
So-
for making everyone's
that.
dreams come true. Like, this is because of you.
Thank you.
You did that.
You should feel good about yourself.
I do. I feel great right now. So, I mean, it would just be very upsetting if all this just led to something completely different. And I'd be like, what? But how could they not go to... And we know that at the New York Comic Con, they said, what can we expect in the second season of... the second part of this season? And they said hell. So, if you're going to take it into literal form...
Hell. I love it.
Hell and Hades and
We love it. All right. Well, thank you for that, Marissa.
Yes, you are.
I know you're very excited.
I am. I'm so excited. I've been asking for this, begging for this for months.
So hopefully your dreams come true.
I know.
Let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Who wants to start? Roxy's shaking her head like I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll start then. I don't know if I necessarily have a prediction for the next episode, but just for future, like we discussed tonight, I believe that Rumple will be the savior to save the town because no one really believes in him at this point besides Belle. And I also predict that Emma will remain dark throughout this whole season, and it won't be like, you know, the end of the first half. Now, mind you, everyone could be commenting right now that they already said she's gonna be turned. I haven't read anything about that, so I'm gonna predict that we're gonna go a full season with Emma being dark.
All right, Marissa, what do you got?
Okay, I think because now we know Rumple has the, say, courage enough and bravery enough to face Emma, at least. I think, as we all know, Emma's not going to be a Dark One forever, fortunately. I think all of her Dark One's magic is going to go back to Rumple, because he's the only one who can contain all that magic and knows how to use it. So I think it just, all that magic goes from like one vessel to the next, and I think it can easily get transferred back to Rumple. How that goes down, we don't know. And also, I might have skipped the news that we know that Cora is coming back.
Yeah.
So
If it doesn't get
that'll be
transferred to
fine.
Rumple and it has to get transferred somewhere, where else would it go?
Might be in Cora. Who knows? Because she's also dark enough
Yeah.
that she could probably take that too. But I think just the way that they're playing it up, that Rumple is the somewhat hero now, it'd be easy to turn him back to the biggest villain again.
I agree, Roxy.
I feel like legitimately for the first time in this show, I have no idea. I have no idea, and that's awesome. I don't know where we're going.
We're going to Hades.
I'm predicting we're going to Hades just for you, Marissa.
Yes.
I mean, I love that you guys are predicting our descent to hell.
No, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome.
We're going to be there in a boat ride to hell. Literally.
Well, make sure you guys let us know at home what you guys think is going to happen this season. You can find us on YouTube and leave a comment there. iTunes, make sure you like us, subscribe to us, comment there. SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, use the hashtag ABTV Once. And where can they find you guys on social media?
You guys can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
And you can follow me at the Tiona Hobson. Make sure you check out everything we have here at AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.